supposed to go over the loading, shooting of the muskets. We're going to start with the way that they were trained in camp, which was what's called loading 9 times. There's 9 steps to loading the musket, and we're going to go through that together. We're going to go step by step so you kind of see how it progressed. They would drill like this regularly until it become almost muscle memory on how to safely handle a rifle. So, load it 9 times. Load. First thing you do is bring the rifle out in front of you. Next thing, you reach back, open your cartridge box. The next command was handle cartridge. You take the cartridge out, bring it up to their teeth. Next command was tear cartridge, which case they tear the top of it off. Bring it by the barrel. Next command was charge cartridge, where you dump the powder down, seat the bullet. Draw, rammer. Bring the rammer out, lay it right beside the barrel. It was a ram cartridge, where you're seating the bullet all the way down the bottom of the barrel. Return, rammer. Do the next step, simply bring the rammer back. The next step will be prime. You bring the rifle up over the cap pouch. At this point, they would take one of these little caps out. How many of y'all remember the cap guns when we were kids? Well, this is basically one of those little caps to about the 10th power. Same stuff that's in it that provides a spark. You pull the rifle back to half cock, that's our safety. Put the cap on the cone. At this point, this rifle is loaded and ready to fire. The next command is go to ready, go to full cock. Go to aim, then fire. Recover, arms. Shoulder, arms. Order, arms. So those are the 9 steps it takes to load this thing every time. Now we're going to go through it at normal cadence, and we'll do fire by file. Load. Fire by file, commence, firing. Ceasefire. At that command, they would continue to fire at will. But typically, you were expected, the rule was you were supposed to fire 3 rounds per minute accurate. I think that's pretty fast. By most says, keep in mind too, the more you, keep in mind too, the more you loaded this rifle, the more fouling you got it, the harder it was to push that ball down. There are stories of misfiring, and sometimes they would find discarded rifles with 2, 3, 4 balls down, where they weren't going off. They probably just discarded the rifle and grabbed somebody else's that was maybe injured or dead on the field. But it takes 9 steps. We're done. Come on through. But it takes 9 steps every time to fire it.
I am the level though.
The men carried 40 rounds in their cartridge boxes.
Was it scratchy rules or real one?
And then with 40, you have to be resupplied.
That has the ball and the charge in that little
It would normally,
container,
yes.
all packaged together, right?
Right, it would be, yes. These obviously do not have the ball in them.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're firing blanks, but I'll show you the ball.
But the old days, you had to pour that powder in loose, didn't you, before these guns?
Or the muskets, like the
Daniel
Boone and those guys.
Well, even the flintlocks you could do cartridges on. But some of them, I mean, the hunters and all that, they would have powder horns, powder makers.
Yeah.
And the flintlock.
That's what the bullet was.
Yep.
What's it made of?
Lead.
Lead.
It's just this is from the war, so
Yeah.
it's
That's a mini
corroded.
ball.
Yeah, that's a mini ball. So here, what would happen is the mini ball would be there.
Yeah.
The powder is here.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I've got a wad of tissue paper at the bottom to represent the bullet.
Yeah.
So by
Oh, okay.
so,
I was wondering what you were doing first time.
yeah. There's a wad. I've got a wad. Some guys just put the powder down, have a little short, but I always make mine to be the correct length.
Yeah.
So and then this ball would be greased, from the when it was put together. So you would actually take it out of the paper, stick it in, and then ram it home.
Was there any way to actually clean the chamber area?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in the field, you would just flush everything out with water.
Oh, great.
Actually, that's one of the best solvents for black powder.
Okay.
In fact, that's still the way we clean them to this day. When we get home, we'll flush with water, then we'll usually take some
And where does the water
solvents.
come out, down? Does it come out through the?
Well, you just pull the hammer back.
The water flushes out through there.
Yep. And then on the Springfield,
How about that?
now he has an infield. His is a little bit different. This is a clean out bolster screw. I can take that screw out and I can run a pick all the way into the firing chamber. His unfortunately does not have that. That's a British infield rifle. His is a little bit more complicated to clean that flash chamber.
They're not too bad, but it requires a little bit more work to
How old are
actually
these
get
weapons?
some flash forward.
Are these replicas?
Well, these are very exact replicas. Yes, these were made in Italy. Mine's probably 12, 13 years old. But it is an exact replica of an 1861 Springfield. There are a few guys out here who do carry original weapons in the field. But the problem you have there is you have a 150-year-old weapon, you're trying to make it look like a brand new one.
Right.
It looks like a 150-year-old weapon. This one looks more like one that's been
Like they would have carried it.
more recently issued.
Yeah, I saw that 1873 carbine they found at Custer's last stand. And they said, well, this weapon is at Custer's last. It looks pretty old.
In fact, when I get home, I've got to take it all apart and give it a good burnish and start to get some rust spots on it. Because these are not, if you notice, now one big difference too, the Springfields were what they call in white. No blue, and this is raw steel. His is blue. His is a little more rust resistant. Mine, you look at it, and it rusts.
Yeah.
I would run water down it. That's bound to have.
Oh yeah.
It's got groove, landing groove.
Yep, it is rifled.
Now, do you follow the water with some kind of oil?
Oh yeah. In fact, in my kit up there, I've got a pack. I've got some more oil patches and everything else. Yeah,
Yes, we did.
what they would use during the war would probably been olive oil.
Okay.
We heard the term sweet oil that was used in olive oil. It works great on that oil. They would use ash from the fire pit as a polish
Really?
for the brass and for the rifles. Because the ash was abrasive. So you take that and mix it with some water into a paste and start scrubbing. And you can pretty much get some of this whole rifle in the field pretty easily. At least most privates would have it, but your sergeant stuff would have had a tool that had the screwdriver blade, the wrenches to remove the cone. I've got one up there. But it's got a blade that fits all the screws on, so I can completely take this apart, including I've never done it in the field. I wouldn't want to, but even the mainspring inside here, that can be disassembled. Wouldn't want to do it in the field, but it can be done. But the only thing you can't take apart in the field is the breech.
Is there any reason they didn't put bluing on there? It looks like a lot of work to clean it all the time.
Well, it's the military, and
Did they have that technology, the bluing?
well, absolutely.
Well, they had it.
The infield were made. They were
The
built
idea is
blue.
just something that they could inspect and say you didn't clean your rifle good.
That's part of, the other thing too is the other thing from what I've read in some accounts too is it's a bit of a psychological thing. You see an army coming down the
Shiny
street
silver things.
and all the barrels reflecting. It's a pretty intimidating picture.
That bayonet got me going just now. Hoorah. Thank you. That's great, guys.
Thank you so much.
So I mean, you can imagine, 400 or 500 men marching along with the sun glinting off that barrel and that bayonet.
Makes you want to run.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I post the video on YouTube? Is that all right?
Fine.
Okay. Thank you.
We're out here in the public.